Well, I'm pretty relieved to see my bike is still here this morning and everything's intact. I was a bit worried about it, to be honest. I don't like leaving it sort of out of sight, and if I'd have left it out all night where I live, I'm pretty sure it'd have gone. It's just the way it is these days. But anyway, everything's okay, so we'll get loaded up and head back out to Arromanches, I think. Lovely little stone villages, these. I'm wary this morning about stopping at the stop signs as well, because the Belgian guys were telling me yesterday if you don't stop and put both feet down, the police will issue €90 fine on the spot. So I've done that twice in a completely empty housing estate just to try and get used to doing it. I can't afford a €90 fine. Yeah, it's quite windy today. It's forecast not to rain until about lunchtime, but it really is windy, especially over these really flat areas. And because it's going to rain this afternoon, I've booked another apartment rather than camping tonight. It says there's a slight risk of thunderstorms this afternoon. It probably calmed down by about 5 or 6 o'clock, but it's forecast to rain again overnight, so I've booked an apartment back in Ypres, where I camped the other day, because I'm going to head back and do some of the German stuff on the way back. There's a German cemetery there and also a well-preserved German bunker. So I'm going to go to Arromanches and then kind of work my way back. Yeah, I wondered why everybody was parked here. So these are all the Goldwings on tour. A couple of other bikes. This is another one of those bridging things that I saw earlier. It actually says on the plaque that it's a floating roadway, and these were connected together to bridge from the pontoons to the shore to bring the vehicles. Each one weighs 28 tons, I think it said it was, and it's 80 feet long. So basically they were joined together to make a roadway designed by a bloke called Alan Beckett. Yeah, and they rested on concrete floats. Yeah, so these are the big concrete floats that still exist. Everywhere you go around Normandy you see old military vehicles, tanks and little museums. There's a field gun here. I've come back up to the cliffs overlooking Arromanches, which is where I was yesterday, when I ran out of time basically. There is a museum in Arromanches itself, which I think is supposed to be pretty good, but there's also, up here, there is a 360 degree cinema which shows a film. I think it's for 20 minutes, kind of runs on a loop, and that was closed by the time I got here yesterday. I'm not sure whether I'll go in to see that. I have seen it before many years ago, but it is very good. These spikes wouldn't have been a very welcome sight when you're trying to get off the beaches. These are impressive pieces of art. Look like they're just made out of thousands of washers welded together. Very realistic with the weapons and the ammunition packs, steel helmets. Very interesting, those.
We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
I'm just leaving Arromanches now. I decided to go to the 360 cinema. I have been some years ago, and it's just a film archive footage. Quite short really, about 15 minutes I think, but it was interesting. And I've decided now I'm going to head out to one of the German cemeteries. I think it might be the biggest one. I just googled it, called Cambe, and I think it's 35-40 minutes from where I am, in the opposite direction to where I'm going. So I'm effectively going out to the furthest point, and I'm going to work my way back. If all else fails and you're in town, you can always find McDonald's. My route has taken me straight through the centre of Ypres, which is a sizable town, so fortunately I was able to get a McDonald's for lunch and fill it with fuel, so we can continue now to the German cemetery. So this is it then, just arriving at Cambe, the German cemetery. At least this is where the sat-nav says it is. A couple of German registered camper vans. Yep, this is it. This is the entrance to the German cemetery at Cambe, and the German equivalent to the War Graves Commission is called the Volksbund, and I think there's 21,000 Germans buried in this cemetery. I've just looked around the information area indoors, which has bios of various German soldiers, from ones who were clearly war criminals to other ones that were you know, just run-of-the-mill soldiers, family men called up and called up to fight basically. This is quite a contrast to the American cemetery. Most of these graves have plaques in the ground, and there are some crosses, but they're not like the American ones, which are all pure white and very, very clean cut. These are a sort of rougher hewn sort of cross, and mainly plaques on the ground. But it's still a big place. I think, as I said, I think there's 21,000 bodies in this cemetery. You get more of a sense of scale of the place from up here. I'm just on my way from the German cemetery at Cambe to Point de Hoc, and I've just come past this little military museum at the side of the road. I think I passed it earlier on, but I didn't stop. Thought it might be worth a quick look.
That was quite an enjoyable little visit to the Omaha Experience Museum. I just happened to pass it. It was about €8 to go in, and there was a virtual headset thing which I didn't bother with, but I did put the guide on my phone. There's a barcode that you can scan to get a guide. I did take a little bit of footage inside and a few photographs, but I didn't want to speak over that footage because it was very quiet and respectful in there. But yeah, worth a visit. Yeah, I did make a bit of a dick of myself back at the museum because I left the keys in my bike, and I heard there was a really heavy, not a thunderstorm, but a very heavy shower outside, which was good timing because I missed that. Went outside, the bike was absolutely soaked, and I was looking for the keys and I realised I left them in the ignition. So, good job the bike was still there, otherwise the insurance company would have stiffed me on that one for sure. German forces occupied and transformed this quiet spot into a fortified stronghold. 6th of June 1944, US Army Rangers scaled 90-foot cliffs to capture this position. Wow.
Time to head back to Oosterham, where I've booked my accommodation for tonight. Not far from when I was camping a couple of nights ago, really. So I'm heading back through the same roads that I have travelled previously up to Arromanches and Point de Hoc, but I've opted to come back this way rather than the longer but faster route on the main roads, because I prefer these back roads and villages. I think this is basically the coast road. Seems to be pretty close to the coast most of the time. It's just a nicer run than the motorways, really.
Well, this is where I'm staying tonight, where the windows open up there. That's the apartment, and it's quite handy because the bike's out of sight round the back of the building, which is pretty good, and it means I can park it pretty much under the window and keep an eye on it, so that's good. A bit happier about this than last night. It's just a small apartment I got on booking.com, apart from it's got a ladder in the middle to get up to some little bedroom, but I won't be using that. Just a small shower and bathroom, little kitchen, table, sofa, bed, telly, fridge. It's everything I need, really. I can see the bike, so I'm happy with that. Don't bother with the upstairs, and I'll just use my sleeping bag because it says they don't provide bed linen, so I'll just use my sleeping bag. Yep, that's fine. That'll do for me. Well, it's Friday morning and I'm leaving my accommodation at Ypres, and I've just put in the destination for the German bunker that I want to visit, and it's only about 2 minutes away from here, which is dead handy. And then the other place I'm going to try and go to today is Pegasus Bridge, which is also not far away. It's on the outskirts of town, because I did pass that on the way in a few days ago. And then I'm going to try and start heading back this afternoon, so that I can basically break the journey up, 'cause it's a fairly long ride from Ypres to Ypres on back roads. So I'm going to head back, and I've tried to book a place at Abbeville, which is where I stayed when I came to France with the lads, because that was a nice town, and it's about between a third and a halfway back, so that's about right. Unfortunately they haven't replied yet, so I'm going to have to check my emails, because if they don't reply, certainly by, I'll give it a couple of hours, I'm going to have to set off. So let's go to the bunker then. I was told about this bunker by a couple of Irish guys that I was talking to the first night that I stopped at Ostrom. I think that was Tuesday, and they were saying it was in the middle of a housing estate. I didn't realise it's literally just a couple of streets away from where I was stopping. I'm making sure I stop and put both feet down at these stop sign junctions now, after the Belgians told me about the €90 fines, police jumping out and nabbing you. Well, you can't really miss that, can you? Le Grand Bunker Musée. Can't turn left. I'll just park here, I think. It says here that Jonathan Orrell, the son of Bob Orrell, who captured the Grand Bunker on 9th of June 1944, recovered this landing craft from scrapyard in Portsmouth and had it restored and brought here. So this is an original landing craft. Wow. Must have been pretty scary. A fair sized thing. But yeah, I guess that was terrifying when the bow door went down. You had to run out into a hail of gunfire. Wow. Well, so here we go, into the Bunker Museum. I don't understand the German, but I guess this is the filtration system. I guess, and I guess that's the generator, judging by the jerry cans. These walls have got to be 3 feet thick. And these doors are just solid steel doors. This is the accommodation, and the sign says the bunks are the same as the Kriegsmarine bunks on chains that fold up against the wall. But that the German soldiers didn't actually live down here. They came in shifts and they lived in accommodation in the area, basically. Came down and worked in shifts. It says here that bunkers in the towns were camouflaged into the local housing, and the bunkers in the country were buried and then painted green and camouflaged to blend in with the countryside. It says here that Field Marshal Rommel himself was inspector of fortifications. It looks like this room's dedicated to the radio operators and communications people, and these buildings were heated by coal stoves, vented to the outside. Towers could be gun towers or observation towers. This one's got a big sort of horizontal telescope that rotates around. And it says here that it took 4 hours for Lieutenant Orrell to secure this bunker. They blew the doors with dynamite and eventually captured 53 German soldiers. Right, let's have a climb up here then. Crash helmet might be quite a good idea, to be fair. I'll pretend it's just for the camera. Well, good view from here. Commanding position though. Well, I suppose we'd better climb back down. I may have filmed a little too much inside that bunker museum, but that's got to be at the top of the list of things to do here, along with the American cemetery. Just really impressive. So I think we'll have a look, find out where Pegasus Bridge is and head there next. Yeah, this Weistrom is quite a nice place actually. Nice couple of restaurants, and it's on the sea, and things to do in the locality as well. It's pretty good. This is the Pegasus Bridge Museum. I'm going to have a look round here. Probably won't film as much as I did previously. I'll do some filming outside. Yeah, that's a model of Pegasus Bridge itself, and this is the operation where they towed gliders in, and all the airborne regiments went in the planes and the gliders to take the bridge. There's static displays of American equipment all over this area, and I guess it's just the sheer amount. I mean, at the end of the day, most of the equipment was American, either American supplied and built or financed. Yeah, so there's a lot of American equipment around. Pegasus Bridge itself. British Centaur tank, which was landed on Sword Beach and was taken out by the Germans on the beach. Apparently it was restored after being stuck in a field for 70 years, and it was taken somewhere. I think it was taken to Cannes, I think it said, and then it was restored again and moved to here for the 70th anniversary celebrations. I guess this bridge is original because I think it was captured intact, and it looks like there's some damage to it. Yeah. This is one of the gliders that they used. It's actually massive. It's as big as an airplane, full-size plane. I thought it'd be smaller than this. Unfortunately, I've lost some footage from Pegasus Bridge, but it's now lunchtime and time to head off to Abbeville. Well, I'm just about to leave my apartment in Abbeville. It was actually a really nice apartment. That's the best one I've stayed at yet. Really nice. So we're leaving Abbeville now. That accommodation was really nice. That's the best I've had. Absolutely immaculate. I think it's fairly new. So heading to Ypres today, and that's about 3 hours. The forecast is bad for this afternoon. I've been lucky so far and dodged most of the rain. Happened to have been indoors when it's thrown it down. But this time it's going to rain this afternoon. I might do most of the journey in the dry, but I am camping tonight, so that might be an issue. So I'll have to see what happens with the weather when I get there, but I've already paid for camping. But I guess at least if my stuff gets soaked tonight, I'm heading back tomorrow, so it's not the end of the world. It's just setting up a tent in the wet is never much fun. So we'll get back on the road to Ypres.